I chain smoke and I say fuck a lot. But I accept myself for the way I am. I accept you too. Viewer discretion advised.
It's a great organization. I'm the spokesperson for the organization. I do this day in, day out. And I love the job.
Is it getting more difficult for you now that WHO has lost trust?
Who says WHO has lost trust? Is that you?
I came across this documentary called trustWHO, and I thought it was worth sharing. Check it out.
My name is Lillian. I'm a filmmaker. I want to find out if the World Health Organization is influenced by industry.
So, because.
I really think you are wasting your time on this topic, and that we should move on to other topics, because I only have until 12 o'clock.
I'm afraid I have to go.
I'm finished.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
She also brings up the swine flu vaccines, the ones that injured at least 700 kids in Europe.
It is extremely easy to, after the fact, say, well, maybe X should not have done Y and A should not have done B. However, think about the opposite. What would have happened had the influenza killed 50% of the people it infected and there was no vaccine? Then you and others would be standing here today getting really mad at us for not having made vaccine a possibility.
What makes this even crazier is this is from when the WHO changed the definition of pandemic, so they essentially, quote, faked a pandemic. There's a pattern there. February 5, 2010, why the WHO faked a pandemic, from Forbes. The World Health Organization has suddenly gone from crying, quote, the sky is falling, like a cackling chicken little, to squealing like a stuck pig. The reason? Charges that the agency deliberately fomented swine flu hysteria. Quote, the world is going through a real pandemic. The description of it as fake is wrong and irresponsible, the agency claims on its website. A WHO spokesman declined to specify who or what gave this, quote, description, but the primary accuser is hard to ignore. The Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, or PACE, a human rights watchdog, is publicly investigating the WHO's motives in declaring a pandemic. Indeed, the chairman of its influential health committee, epidemiologist Wolfgang Wodarg, has declared that the false pandemic is one of the greatest medicine scandals of the century. Not anymore. Even within the agency, the director of WHO Collaborating Center for Epidemiology in Munster, Germany, Dr. Erlich Kyle, has essentially labeled the pandemic a hoax. Quote, we are witnessing a gigantic misallocation of resources, 18 billion so far, in terms of public health, he said. They're right. This wasn't merely overcautiousness or simple misjudgment. The pandemic declaration and all the klaxon ringing since reflect sheer dishonesty motivated not by medical concerns, but political ones. But how could the organization declare a pandemic when its own official definition required, quote, simultaneous epidemics worldwide with enormous numbers of death and illness? Easy. In May, in what it admitted was a direct response to the outbreak of swine flu the month before, WHO promulgated a new definition matched to swine flu that simply eliminated severity as a factor. You can now have a pandemic with 0 deaths. Under fire, the organization is boldly lying about the change to which anybody with an internet connection can attest. In a mid-January virtual conference, WHO swine flu chief Kaiji Fukuda stated, quote, did WHO change its definition of a pandemic? The answer is no. WHO did not change its definition. 2 weeks later, at a PACE conference, he insisted, quote, having severe deaths has never been part of the WHO definition. They did it, but why? In part, it was SIA for WHO. The agency was losing credibility over the refusal of avian flu H5N1 to go pandemic and kill as many as 150 million people worldwide, as its quote flu czar had predicted in 2005. Around the world, nations heeded the warnings and spent vast sums developing vaccines and making other preparations. So when swine flu conveniently trotted in, the WHO essentially crossed out quote avian and inserted quote swine. And WHO Director General Margaret Chan arrogantly boasted, quote, "The world can now reap the benefits of investments over the last 5 years in pandemic preparedness." But there's more than bureaucratic self-interest at work here. Bizarrely enough, the WHO has also exploited its phony pandemic to push a hard left political agenda. In a September speech, WHO Director General Chan said, quote, "Ministers of health should take advantage of the, quote, devastating impact swine flu will have on poorer nations to get out the message that, quote, changes in the functioning of global economy are needed to, quote, distribute wealth on the basis of values like community, solidarity, equity, and social justice." She further declared it should be used as a weapon against, quote, international policies and systems that govern financial markets, economies, commerce, trade, and foreign affairs. So basically business as usual. They also bring up radiation, like Fukushima and Chernobyl. And she also inquires about other diseases caused by that.
Since Chernobyl, we know that there are other diseases.
What are the diseases?
Unfortunately, for example, it's cardiovascular diseases, infertility, thyroid diseases other than cancer. There's a book, maybe you heard about it, of the Academy of Science.
Which was reputed by the New York Academy of Sciences because it's so unsound.
But that's not true.
Yes. If you read the statement from the New York Academy of Sciences in 2011 or 12, they repudiated the book. Let me give you this. This is from the Journal of Radiology, and it's a review of the New York Academy of Sciences book, which talks about all the flaws in it.
Okay. So I should also give you something. A book review by Independent Who. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we read this and then we meet again.
And then finally, she gets a chance to talk to Margaret Chan.
Okay, Lillian Frank, Oval Media. It's a question to Dr. Chan. We just learned that refugee health, AMR, and climate change are huge global health challenges. But I'm asking myself, how can we meet them if WHO is constantly losing power? Important donor nations, they want a weak WHO. One could even compare WHO to Titanic, I would say. So isn't it your responsibility, Dr. Chan, to step down before the end of your second term in order to signal to the world that your organization, your ship, is sinking?
You asked an excellent question. If I tell you, WHO as an organization, only 30% of my budget is predictable funds. Other 70% I have to take ahead and go around the world to beg for money. And when they give us the money, they are highly linked to their preferences, what they like. It may not be the priority of WHO. So if we do not solve this, we are not going to be as great as we were.
We already knew that. I'll leave a link below. Fucking stoned. I got a motherfucking spaceship. Oh, fuck. Cool, I got it.